So today's video is for anyone who works in a job and you show up to an office every day at your company, but you want to work part-time from home for that same company. So I'm going to talk to you about how you can present this idea to your boss or your manager and possibly get them to agree to it. Now, this works better for some job types over others. There's certain job types where working from home just would never work. But some where it can work very well. Now, why am I qualified to talk about this? Well, I'll tell you why. I ran a company for 10 years where most of the staff we had were virtual. At our peak, we had over 300 staff. Most of them were spread out all over the world, dozens of countries, and it was a 24-hour operation. I also have had offices where we had up to 50 people in one office. So I've had the virtual model, the physical office model, and a hybrid for many years. And the first thing I want to tell you is that many companies are very skeptical of the virtual model, and they should be. They should be, because the majority of the time it is a bad idea. It's kind of in fashion now. It's been in fashion for a long time. A lot of the big Fortune 500 companies try it. They think that they're going to attract more talent by offering it. It can work, but there's a lot of waste with it. So I want to tell you about my experience with it, just so you can understand how your manager or boss or company owner might perceive the whole idea. So at one point I had over 50 staff working in our office in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And my company prior to that, it had begun virtually, completely virtually. So I started hiring people in different countries, and I was based in Australia in the very beginning. And again, I want to be very clear. I'm not giving any business advice here. I'm just giving you context for how your boss or the company owner might view hiring virtual staff. The big problem with hiring virtual staff on sites like Upwork.com and allowing everyone to work from home, there are an enormous number of freelancers who get paid to work from home who really are just not working at all, or they're at like 50% capacity. Now, of course, there's some excellent freelancers. I hired many of them over the years, but there's just a lot of waste in that space. So I'll tell you a quick story. Many years ago, I hired someone on Upwork.com, and they were from the Philippines. And after working with them for about 6 months, I told them, look, I need you here in Kuala Lumpur. I want you here in our physical offices so you can work close to me, and it'll just speed up our communication. So this guy moves to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and we kept on using Upwork for all the pay, okay, just to track hours and for pay because it was easier. And the way that Upwork works and a lot of these freelancer websites is they take screenshots like every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes of the freelancer's work, and they monitor activity. So if they're moving their mouse around, if they're typing, it will give you a measurement of activity. So this guy actually had a small laptop right next to his main laptop. He's working about 10 meters away from me, right outside my office. And after several months, he confided in another staff member that he'd found a software program that actually would move the mouse of that second small laptop to mimic activity, and half the time he wasn't even working. So I don't really care about that now, it's many years ago, but my point is that sort of thing goes on all the time with the virtual model. And that was happening 10 meters away from me. The amount of just waste when you hire people, when a company hires people from different countries, there is a tremendous amount of waste. And they might think they're getting a great deal, spending $3 an hour or less hiring someone in the Philippines, but a lot of the time they're not. So I just tell you that so you know that's part of the reason why many company owners and managers, they're skeptical. They're very skeptical of the virtual model. So by having everyone working in the one physical environment, it is a lot easier to manage. But having said all of that, let's talk about what jobs are good candidates for working from home, and you can see if that's one of your jobs. So it really works best for a sort of job where it's easy to measure production. So for example, sales. Sales is a great job that if you are involved in sales, you can ask your boss, your manager, if you can work from home. And that is because it's easy to measure. It's really easy to measure someone's performance in sales. Either they're bringing in the money, closing deals, or they're not. You get to the end of the month, you can see exactly how many deals were done. And there's a lot of great software programs that will measure activity like outbound calls, deals closed, record calls, number of calls made per day. So sales, if you're working in sales in an office right now, that's definitely a job that you can and you should ask if you can do some of those hours from home. So coding is another great job that you can do part-time from home. And it's the sort of job where it really is easy for you to increase your productivity and get more done if you can work from home in a quiet environment and not be disturbed. So if you do anything that doesn't require access to equipment or regular face-to-face communication in an office, and there's clear measurable output, sales, coding, video editing, things like that, where there's clear milestones, then yes. But if you're doing something where you do require that face-to-face interaction, let's say you are an assistant to someone else and you've got to regularly talk to them face-to-face, then obviously that's going to be a little bit harder. So the very first thing you got to do to pitch your boss or your manager is tell them what's in this for them. How is it going to increase the output? If it's not going to increase output, then there's no reason for them to say, sure, you can work part-time from home. So start off by asking for a trial period, and you got to promise an increase in productivity. And if you don't deliver, you'll be back in the office full-time. I would suggest that you start off by asking for a very small amount of time to work from home, such as half a day. Start off by asking, can I work from home for half a day per week? And a lot of managers will be open to it if you can prove that you're going to increase your productivity. So here's what I suggest. Take away all downside for them. If you work, let's say you work 6 days a week, offer to work half a day on Sunday from home and show them how much more productive you can be. And then they can evaluate and make a decision. Completely take away the downside. Just say, look, I want to prove to you that I can get more done working part-time from home. I'll still come into the office the majority of the time, but I want to show you how much more productive I can be at home when I'm not being disturbed and I can just focus on the job. So this Saturday or this Sunday, I'll work half a day. I'll get these things done. And do you agree that if I can get these things done, that you'll consider giving me half a day during my normal work week to work from home? You've got to make this almost irresistible to them and take away the downside. Okay, so to sum up here, it doesn't work for all jobs, but if you are in a job where it's really easy to measure what you do and you are confident that working from home part-time, you really can increase your productivity, then go for it. Ask your boss, ask your manager, and they might just say yes. But take away the downside and make it irresistible to them. Hope that helps. See you tomorrow.